So now that we've used our transcript to start the edit, I want to talk about how to build a rough cut, which is a rough first version of your edit, based around your plan of what story structure you want to build. So share my screen. I'm going to bring my transcript up again of the interview with my sibling Sky. And the components that I really want to have in my final documentary are an attention-grabbing beginning, an anecdote section that has a beginning, middle, and end, and a point of reflection, or just like a section at the end that's like feels like a conclusion. It's a section that leaves your viewer with kind of like the purpose or the point of it. So I've been reading through this, and I'm going to start a new document here, writing down what those different sections are going to be. So beginning, attention. Okay. So I think, so in the interview, they talked about starting over by moving to Texas, moving from Maryland to Texas. And they had that amazing quote, "This can be like kind of like the most grabbing thing in your interview." And I have it here. There was a God, let's see. People were really open about it. They were in your face. Like, if you're going to hell, this is a sin type of thing, like talking about Sky being queer and coming out. And I asked, how did you react to it? Did you ever internalize that? And like, maybe I'm going to hell or anything like that? And Sky said, no. I always knew that if there was a God, that he like, why would God make me this way if he didn't accept it, you know? So I knew that if there was a God, I don't think I'd be going to hell, because like I was born like this, you know? So I think that's really profound. And so I think I'll take this and make this my attention grabbing beginning. So I might, let's see. I'm literally just going to copy and paste that. And then, so this is beginning, attention grabbing. Anecdote. Then your second section is anecdote or story. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my transcript and kind of try to figure out what is the story, what's the beginning and middle and end of that story. So I have read through this already, and I've been doing some thinking about it. So I think the beginning is before they moved to Texas. There was a depressed. All right. Oops, sorry. Beginning, middle, and beginning before Texas, depressed, middle, the inciting incident, and leads to the middle of the story, which is moving to Texas. Making friends, feeling accepted at theater camp. So when they moved, they actually surprisingly enough, felt way more accepted and a community of other queer kids than they ever had in Maryland. So that's the middle section. And then the end is when they kind of felt accepted and felt like they had a like they're really confident in themselves. All right, so that's the anecdote / story. And I'm not going to show that on screen because it's a bit, boring, but I would go through my transcript again and try to find all those sections of when they're talking about those different things, because in the interview, it actually is kind of sporadic. Like anytime you're talking to someone in conversation, you don't just usually go in a straight line. You kind of jump around between these things. So I'm going to fish through here and copy and paste my transcript sections when they talk about that. Each of these things. So then the point of reflection. It may be the same as this. And I think the ending of the story can have a point of reflection again within it. Dog eating, sorry. And it can have that sense of finality and closure and like a conclusion. But if there is a time that you're, but if you don't feel like it's wrapped up within that, you may want a separate section of your point of reflection. So the point of reflection in this setting is optional, but it can provide a really great kind of time when you can offer like an emotional moment to your viewers that gets to the heart of why you wanted to make this documentary. Why is this topic even interesting or important for you and your interviewee? So I think it can take a while to like really come through the interview and find that. So in this case, something that Skye says here is, when I was younger, I was definitely a lot more confident. I'm still pretty confident in my identity, like I don't really care what people say about me. Sometimes it gets to me, but like whenever people make fun of me or bark at me in the hallway or like make fun of my piercings, like the fact that I wear wigs, I don't care. So that could be a great emotional moment to share. And I should also say that this attention grabbing beginning, you can reuse it. It's not like if you use it at the beginning, you can't also use it in the middle. It's just something to like grab your reader's attention and give them like a tease of what's coming later. So I might use that quote of like, I feel confident, I don't care. Or I might reuse, if there was a God, I don't think I would to help. And you can wait and see, just put ideas down here for yourself about the point of reflection, and you may want to just build it up as you do your edit and see which ones you like. Okay. So when I finish this document, I'll have these timestamps and everything will be sort of like ready in my mind before I even open my my document to edit. So, all right. So let's see, open file. I already started my edit earlier. All right. So on this layer, I have my interview and I started to cut things up. Just have different timelines with different version of the interview. So at the top, I have the interview completely uncut. In Shotcut, there's like the files up here that are initially like what you're using. So you never want to like destroy your original footage. You can just paste it down here and use it in different ways. So this top one is the full interview uncut. And you can turn these layers on and off in Shotcut. I'm sure in other editing programs, you can do something similar. So right now I'm gonna hide the uncut interview and go down to this full interview version that I have been cutting up. I called it section split up. And then I just start looking for those quotes in order. So I pulled out that one at first about if there was a God, I don't think I'd be. All right, move my place back there. So I want that to be my attention grabbing beginning. And here it is right here at the beginning. Oh, whoops, I have to turn this up layer on again. All right. So pay attention to this second layer. That's my final edit.
That if there was a God, that he, like, why would God make me this way if he didn't accept it, you know? So yeah, I knew that if there was a God, I don't think I would be going to hell. Yeah, because.
So that was my quote. And actually right before that, or like way earlier in the interview, I had Sky introduce themselves on camera. So saying their name, saying their age. And I thought that this would be like a great attention grabbing thing, this quote, to like make you pay attention and like make you really engaged in this. Like if you saw this out of the blue, wouldn't you be interested to see why they're saying this? But I thought it'd be good to give a little tiny bit of context first. So I put in this clip at the beginning, which is way early in the interview.
My name is Sky Lily. Okay, and how old are you? I'm 16. I always knew that if there was a God, that he, like, why would God make me this way if he didn't accept it, you know? So yeah, I knew that if there was a God, I don't think I would be going to hell. Yeah, because like I was born like this, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so that is my attention grabbing beginning. I've done that edit. And then that's all I've done so far, but I will continue to build the rough cut of finding those timestamps from my transcript that I've already picked out and put in order in my Word document. The beginning, the middle, the end, and the point of reflection, I will cut them up within the full interview and paste them in order in my editing timeline. And you want to make sure you're really cutting, like leaving a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor. So if your interviewee is saying the same thing over and over again, you want to just use the best time that they say something. If you want to edit yourself out as much as possible, you can take out when you're asking the questions. That helps to have this final timeline that really focuses on your interviewee and what they're saying rather than what you're saying. So try to make it concise, you know. You should have a final documentary that's shorter than what you originally said, than what you originally recorded, rather. So when you do your rough cut, this final edit timeline will be full of that story that you have now put together in the order that you want. So that rough cut will be due next week or next weekend. And you don't need to put your B-roll in yet. That's for the following week. That's like kind of combining, refining everything. But for now, I just want a rough cut of your interview trimmed down, made more concise, taking your questions out of it as much as possible, and just having like the most rich and to the point version of this like story structured interview documentary that you can. All right, so I hope that all makes sense. And I'm really excited to see the rough cuts of your documentary.